How did we shot a cinematic sports film in 25 hours straight? From the lighting setup to the camera movement and the gear we used. Well, that's today's video. We needed to shoot a cinematic sports film. Yes, again, I've been shooting a lot of sport content lately, but this one was different. The goal was to show the challenge and the inner struggle of a parkour athlete who decided to give himself an almost impossible goal. Running a marathon under 3 hours with almost no running experience in 1 year only. Visually, I wanted to mix, of course, exterior running sequence, but mostly something much more introspective, especially with one key scene running alone on a treadmill in complete darkness. The real challenge here wasn't to create some complex framing, but more about time and planning everything, because we had to shoot everything in a single day, so around 24-25 hours straight. So we needed a very strict priority order and above all, be extremely efficient with our lighting setup. We shot everything on the Sony FX3, paired with a set of Thypoch Simera C, and it was my first time using those lenses on a project or event for myself, and honestly, wow, those tiny lenses are absolutely beasts. We were a very small crew. Sometimes I was almost like a solo shooter with no first SE for focus pulling or anything else. So I went for a very lightweight rig, relying heavily on the DJI LiDAR for focus, and that's where the Simera C really made sense. I've previously shot, like you saw, a lot with the DZO-R, but for this project the context was completely different. Like I told you, we were shooting for more than 25 hours straight, constantly moving, switching setup with very little room for error. So compared to the R, the Simera C are much smaller and lighter. Each lens weighed between just 369 to 490 grams, which allowed me to keep the whole setup compact all day long without hurting my back. That means faster setup chains, less fatigue, and way more freedom to move between tripod, dolly, and handheld. In terms of image, they are different, but not in a better or worse way. Simera C are more organic and subtle, which was perfect for this intimate physical project. The contrast is well controlled, skin tone stay natural, and the bokeh smooth, especially on close-up when the athlete is exhausted and breathing really hard. For me, it's not about one lens being better than others, it's about choosing the right gear, the right tool for the right project. And for a fast, intense, small crew shoot like this one, the Simera C were the perfect choice. We started with all the exterior running scenes. The goal was to get wide shots, medium shots, and close-up. Like on a previous project, I used my truck with lateral and rear doors to do back and forth tracking shots, trying to keep either a backlight or a side light on the athletes. We got lucky, it was sunny. We didn't use any diffusion frame or bounce board here simply because we didn't have enough time to really polish the look. So even for the close-up of him resting and breathing, we kept everything really raw. Yet, in a small forest section, we did use a bounce board. The sun was really high and strong, creating very deep shadows, so the bounce was really essential to bring back some detail in the face and body, mostly for close-up shots that I really like. And quick tip, when using a bounce board outside, don't create a light sandwich. Putting your board just in front of the actors or actress, it will look flat, way too flat. Always keep the bounce on the same side of the sun, trying to warp it a little more, even if you lose some light from the bounce. It will look way better, trust me on that. Once the exteriors were done, we moved to the interior scenes, starting inside the house. I wanted a dark, introspective mood, showing the athletes in self-reflection. And honestly, nothing is faster and more effective than a cool shower scenes. The lighting was very simple. One top light using a boom and a C100 tube, a small highlight with a pocket light, plus some haze and condensation from the shower. And just like that, we got that instant cinematic look. I used a 28mm here because I didn't add the 21 yet on the set, but it worked perfectly. The face framing with the highlight in the water dripping felt so epic to shoot. I was like shooting something from Batman. Anyway, the bathroom was really tiny, so communication was key. There was simply no way for all of us to be inside at the same time, especially with the steam, the condensation, and the lack of space. That's when we relied heavily on the new Comica Seekcom S1 headsets. So Comica sent me those headsets to test them, and first of all, they are FX3 waterproof. So humidity, steam, condensation, anything, we didn't care at all. Battery life was another big point. They lasted the entire day, more than 24 hours, without needing to recharge, which is huge on shoot like this. Range-wise, it was also really impressive. We moved between rooms, floor, locations, even driving between setup, and the signal never dropped thanks to the 500-meter range. But what really made the difference for me was the app. It doesn't just allow one to call calls, it gives you full control over the entire system. You can adjust each headset's volume, create groups, assign names, and manage who talks to who in real time. You can connect up to 8 people, choose the host, choose the guest, mute everyone instantly if you need to give a critical instruction, and switch between open talk, push to talk, or mute. They also support 3.5mm external audio input, cascade extension, and monitoring, which means you can actually record all the conversation if needed. Very useful for documentation, complex setup, or just to make fun of your friends. So if you guys are interested, I will put the link in the description, and let's get back to shooting. For the bedroom scenes, we wanted a strong emotional moment with a voice message from his father playing in the background. Action! Top! But we didn't add many props, so we went straight to the point. Lighting wise, we used a 500B outside and a f22C inside, plus a light tube to detach him from the background. To motivate some light and make it more natural, we put a practical behind him, a lava lamp, creating some visual layers and mostly to motivate at least one light. This created a very contrast image paired with a motorized dolly push-in, and those type of moments are essential for this kind of scene. They are really elevating the emotions. And we kept the same lighting setup for the close-up to stay consistent and to make him more contrasty or detach him for the background. By now, we were already exhausted, but the biggest sequence was coming, the treadmill scene inside the gym. This was the core of the entire project, the athlete running in complete darkness, isolated, lit from above, something very visceral. Lighting-wise, it was quite simple. Gear-wise, not ideal at all. The ceiling wasn't really high enough, but my boom stand anyway wasn't heavy enough and solid to safely raise the f22C as high as I wanted. That's where gears really matters, both for safety and execution. So I adapted the most I could, and on the light was set, we shot every angle we needed with the same setup. Camera movement choices were very intentional, smooth pushing to feel the effort, and static tripod shots to observe and contemplate. No handle here, every movement had to serve a purpose, and I already known that we shot a lot of handled while he was running outside, so the goal was to create a real contrast visually and movement-wise. At this point, we were running late, very late. I had to make a decision. I took the shot list and asked myself one simple question. If this shot doesn't exist in the final edit, does the film still work? Do we feel the emotion on the same way I meant to? If the answer was yes, then the shot wasn't essential. And that's how I identify what's need to go when we don't have enough time. At that moment, I will much rather have one powerful shot, well framed, well lit, with intention, than 5 rush shots that don't really say anything. It wasn't perfect, a lot more could have been done lighting wise and even for the framing itself, but we had enough time to do it properly, and that's what mattered. When you are shooting against the clock, quality beats quantity every single time, so try to keep that in mind. The last shot was in the locker room. It had been 23 hours we started the shoot, we were completely exhausted and I just wanted to go to bed. But the location wasn't ideal either, so to create atmosphere, I placed 2 RGB tubes in the frame and blasted the f22C, I love this light, directly into his face. double diffuse, very contrasty, but it sold exactly the mood we were looking for, and that was a wrap. The film wasn't difficult because of the shots. Framing and composition were actually quite classic. Even since the treadmill scene was pretty cool to shoot. The real difficulty was time. And why didn't we shoot this on multiple days? Because we couldn't. Planning, weather, availability, everything forced us into a single day. I'm definitely not recommending this approach for time, crew. It was not perfect at all. It was the last time I believe that I will make something similar, but my team were the real heroes here. We tried our best during all that time, and in the end we wrapped everything and we got some really strong frame. So I hope you enjoyed this BTS. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below, and until next time, ciao.